In this video, I'm going to go through two examples of writing linear equations when you're given certain information about those equations. It's still section 9.3 continued, and as always, you should take notes in your notebooks. So let's look at the first example. So again, we're writing an equation from given information, and I'm being told that the line goes through the point -6, 2, so it passes through that point, and that the line has a slope of 1/2. So since I'm given the slope and a point, I could use the slope-intercept form of a line. And when you use this formula, you need to know the slope, which we know, and you also need to know the y-intercept. We don't know that. This is not the y-intercept. If it were the y-intercept, the x value, the x-coordinate would have to be 0. So this is just a random point on the line. However, I can use this value for x and this value for y, and this value for the slope, and I can substitute those into my equation, and then my only variable will be b, and I can solve for b, and then I'll know what the y-intercept is. So if we replace our variables with the numbers that we have here, we will have that 2 equals our slope, which is 1/2, times our x value, which is -6, that's my point, I'm putting that in here and here, plus b. And then we have to solve for b, so I should do out this math. Well, half of -6 is -3, so we have 2 equals -3 plus b, and so b would equal 5. Now that's not the final answer, because I'm supposed to write an equation for the line, not just find the y-intercept. So my final answer is when I substitute in my slope, which is 1/2, and my y-intercept, which is 5. So this is the equation for a line. That's using slope-intercept form. There's actually another form for a line that would have made this problem even easier. It's called point-slope form. And in that form, you are told a point and the slope. So this is the equation for that line. And the x1, y1, that's your point that you're told. And the m is, as always, the slope. So if you're given an x1, y1, or some point on the line, which in our case was -6, 2, and you're given the slope, which we were given 1/2, then you can substitute these into your formula. So y minus my y value would be y minus 2 equals 1/2 times x minus my x value, which would be minus -6, which as we know becomes x plus 6. So this is actually an acceptable form for a line. You can be done here. Okay, this answer would be accepted. If you wanted to get it to look like this answer, however, you could expand it out. So I would have to distribute the 1/2 into the parentheses. And if I do that, get a little more room here, then I would get y minus 2 still equals 1/2 x plus 3. And if I add the 2 to the other side, you'll notice I get what I started with, y equals 1/2 x plus 5. So this is just another form for writing a line, point-slope form. Make sure you have that in your notes before you move on to our final example. Okay, in our second example, we are given that the line goes through 2, -4, and 1, 2. So it's a little bit different than our previous example, because in our previous example, I was told the slope. Here, I'm not told the slope, but since I'm given 2 points, you all know how to find the slope using the slope formula. So if I substitute our values into the slope formula, remember it doesn't matter which order you go in, so I'm going to do -4 minus 1 over 2 minus 1, and I meant this to be -4 minus 2 up here, sorry. So that's -6 over 1, which is just -6. So there's my slope. As soon as you have your slope, this problem is now exactly like the problem on the previous page. I've been given a point. In fact, I was given 2 points, but I can just choose whichever one of these I like. And now I have my slope. So just to show you the new form again, I'm going to put this into point-slope form, which is, again, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay. You could also use y equals mx plus b, and you would get the same exact equation for this line. So in my point-slope form, I'm going to choose the point 1, 2, because I don't have to deal with a negative that way. So it would be y minus my y value, which is 2, equals my slope, which was -6, times x minus 1. And actually, I'm done. If I'm told I can leave it in point-slope form, then this is finished. If you wanted to convert it into slope-intercept form, then you would continue by distributing the -6, and so we would get y minus 2 equals -6x plus 6, and then when I add 2 to the other side, I would get y equals -6x plus 8. So either of these is acceptable for writing the equation for this line. That's all for this video. Hope it was helpful, and I'll see you tomorrow.